To the 6 o'clock news. Two deadly shootings 2 hours apart in Portland last night.
A total of 4 people were shot, and there's no word about the suspects in either case. The first shooting happened about 8:45 Thursday night. Police say shots were fired near Northeast 66th Avenue, north of Northeast Broadway. Police say 3 people were shot. 2 were found at the scene and taken to the hospital. One of them went to the hospital in a private car and was pronounced dead.
Then, exactly 2 hours later, shots were fired at Farragut Park in North Portland. Police say when they arrived, one man had been shot and died at the scene.
In the last few hours, we've learned that there was another shooting overnight. At least 8 shots were fired at a home on Southeast 66th near Cooper Street. 2 kids and 2 adults were in that home, and the bullets hit a bed where a 12-year-old was sleeping. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but again, there's no suspect in this case either.
This ongoing gun violence is an issue Fox 12's Sarah Hurwitz has been following for weeks, working to get answers on how the city is addressing this problem.
She joins us live now in Northeast Portland with what the Office of Violence Prevention is doing on the streets right now to prevent continued shootings. Sarah?
Well, yeah, we are here off of Northeast 66. This is where neighbors say this block was taped off last night during that shooting. Now, this just adds to the list of more than 100 shootings in Portland this year. To stop this, the Office of Violence Prevention says it has outreach workers that are on the streets working to build relationships. Crime tape, flashing lights, and more lives lost to gun violence, a scene that's become so familiar to many Portlanders.
I have become more aware of more shootings happening.
Gwendolyn Bywater works at Budding Culture, a marijuana dispensary down the street from one of the latest shootings across Portland.
Most of my customers are regulars who live just right around in the neighborhood, and they've all come and talked about what this neighborhood has become.
So what's being done to solve the problem? Well, we spoke with the director of Portland's Office of Violence Prevention. It's been in place since 2006, and the 4-person team works with other groups to get boots on the ground.
Our outreach workers are showing up in many, many spaces where there's potential and high risk potential of conflicts and trying to disrupt, trying to interrupt, trying to deter, building relationships even upstream with our younger generation so they don't come downstream, so we don't find them as victims, that we don't have to see them in the hospitals and in the prisons or in the graveyard.
Director Nike Green says the office's work is done on the front end to build those important relationships. And it's also following up with families for support in the wake of tragedy.
And they are working with the hospital staff to make sure that that victim and their family have the support they need, really more specifically trying to reduce retaliation, reduce recidivism, meaning to be re-victimized again.
Bringing several groups together as much as possible to have one voice.
And neighborhood groups are joining the effort too. Friday afternoon, Portland for Positive Impact, the Hazelwood Neighborhood Association, and Coalition to Save Portland, they all met virtually to talk about how they can work together.
We want to identify youth that are more susceptible to being recruited by gangs, so we can identify that early. And then get some intervention there. I figured it'd be better to condense our efforts instead of coming at the mayor from 3 different directions. We come at him as a group. That way he's probably more likely to respond to us, and we could also collaborate.
Now, Green says that the office also has a trauma and violence impacted family program. This can provide mental health services as well as mentoring. And this is an issue that we will continue to stay on top of as the community works to find solutions on this important issue. Reporting live here in Northeast Portland, Sarah Hurwitz, Fox 12 Oregon.